Hi everyone, Courtney Carrozza Dampman here from Keller Williams Real Estate and Media. I am here today with Ken Jordan from RoundPoint Mortgage. Ken is a local lender. He is a first-time homebuyer expert, so he knows pretty much all the ways to get you some assistance to get you locked in as a home buyer. So we are going to talk about a really great program today that's been helping a lot of renters become homeowners. So Ken, you want to tell them what we're here to talk about today?
Sure, absolutely. The program that we want to talk about today is a very popular program right now, and it is a program that gives buyers an extreme amount of leverage in a market where it's tough. It's very difficult with sellers, as you know, Courtney. Having so many offers on a property, there's very limited opportunities for seller assist and things of those natures, things of that nature. So this program allows the borrower to kind of, it supports them in that effort to give them some money that they're going to need to close. This particular program is called KFIT, and it's really helpful for coming up with closing costs.
Ken, when you say closing costs, what do those entail? Because I feel like not very many people know what to expect when it's coming to their closing costs.
That's a very, very good question. So I talk to my buyers. Typically, I explain it this way. There's a difference between closing costs and cash out of pocket. Okay. Your total cash out of pocket is made up of three components. Component number one is your down payment, which depending on the loan program could be as low as 0% if it's a VA loan, 3.5% if it's a conventional loan, or excuse me, if it's FHA loan, or 3% even if it's a conventional loan. That's just one component of your cash out of pocket. Now, from there, you also have your non-recurring closing costs, which is your transfer tax, title insurance, lender fees, recording fees. And these are things that you pay one time, but you don't pay them again for as long as you're in that loan. And then, of course, you have your prepaids. In our area, at least, you have to pay 12 months worth of taxes, 12 months worth of homeowners insurance, plus a little buffer for your escrow account towards your prepaids. So when you add those three numbers up, that's typically what we consider to be your cash out of pocket. Now, in years past, what we would do is take a look at what the buyer had, take a look at what they needed, and then discuss what options we had to bridge the gap. And for a long time, a great option was a seller assist, where the buyer could basically ask the seller to cover some of their closing costs. And that's really where the challenge comes in today, and why the KFIT program is so popular.
Well, let me just chime in there before you start to talk about a little bit more about KFIT. So
Mhm.
what the seller's assist means is you're making an offer, but you're asking the seller for cash back at closing towards your closing costs. So that way that you can pay basically less at the closing table. Now in this market, sellers are trying to net at least what they're asking for. So if you go in and offer $200,000 on a $200,000 house, but you're asking for a 6% seller's assist. I can't do the math off the top of my head right now, but you're asking them for roughly what, $12,000 at closing towards your closing costs. And then they're only netting, say, $188,000. So they're not even netting what they're asking for. And you're going to be up against multiple offers where somebody just might offer straight 200,000. So that way they're netting more. Now, if you try to offer more than that with the assist so that they net 200, then the seller would worry that they're going to run into issues with the appraisal and that it's not going to appraise for that. And then they know you already don't have the cash to bring because you're asking for cash. So that's why this KFIT program is so important. And Ken, you want to kind of just tell them a little bit more about what the actual program offers?
Sure. So the KFIT program is a program that is used kind of in conjunction with a Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, or PHFA, first mortgage. And it can be underwritten as a VA loan, it can be underwritten as an FHA loan, or it could be underwritten as a conventional loan with max financing. The program KFIT stands for Keystone, Forgivable in 10, meaning that over a 10-year period, you can take out a second mortgage that is forgivable over a 10-year period. Now, that second mortgage that you take out can be up to 5% of the sale price. So in your scenario of 200,000, you'd be looking at $10,000 that the borrower could use towards their cash to close, towards potentially their down payment and their closing costs. And that loan is an interest-free second mortgage that gets forgiven over a period of time. So let's say you're in the house for 5 years. You potentially could have to repay half of that loan. If you're in the house for 10 years, if you're in that loan for 10 years, you don't have to repay any of the loan. So it's a tremendous opportunity for folks that don't have a house to sell, where they're walking away with a whole bunch of money, and that's typically first-time buyers.
Okay. If they say, if the buyer went and found some, I know Upper Darby Township's coming out with a new grant. If they were to get a grant, something like that on their own, would they be able to pair it with the KFIT program?
So a lot of grant programs are able to be paired with the KFIT program, but you definitely want to check with your lender and check with your real estate agent in these situations to make sure that the program that you're working with is also compatible with KFIT.
Okay, so they just vary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what type of financing it can be used with? You said VA, FHA, or conventional loans.
It can be used with VA. It can be used with a PHFA first, and that program will be underwritten either as a VA loan, as an FHA loan, or as a conventional loan, meaning it's underwritten to those guidelines. But what's cool about the VA loan is that, we talk a little bit about first-time buyers. Okay, this is a first-time buyer program. And in Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency's eyes, a first-time buyer is a buyer that hasn't owned any real estate in the last 3 years. So if you've owned a house and you sold it, and you've been renting for 3 years, you actually qualify again as a first-time buyer. But what's really cool is on the VA loan, if we're going the VA route, you have to qualify as a VA buyer, 0 down, and you don't. The first-time buyer requirement is actually waived. The 3-year requirement is actually waived. Not only that, and if you want, I can post this in the comments section. If you're buying in a targeted area where the median household income is below a certain level, the first-time buyer requirement is also waived. So that can be very powerful in certain sections of Delaware County and Philadelphia as well.
Yeah. So I think also, like, what Ken's trying to say is your situation varies, and you just really need to speak to a professional to see what you qualify for, because you honestly just never know. Everyone's situation is different, and everyone's financial picture is different. So, that's why you want to make sure that you get linked up with a trusted local lender like Ken, who's an expert with first-time home buyers and can guide you in the right direction on everything that you qualify for sure. Now, Ken, is there any other, I know PHFA just came out with K-Flex.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me the difference and tell us the difference between KFIT versus K-Flex.
So some of the biggest differences, so K-Flex hasn't quite yet rolled out, but it is going to be rolled out soon. One of the biggest differences is that are increasing the income limits that are required for the grant program. So along with the first-time buyer requirement, there's also income restrictions on KFIT. And I'll post those in the comments section below too. So you can see the area that you're looking, what the income limit is for a 1 to 2 member household, a 3 to 4 member household, and so on and so forth, because they differ in certain areas. The income restrictions are going to be higher on the K-Flex. And they're also looking to take away the requirement for first-time buyer status as well in the K-Flex. So we're very excited about that program. It hasn't quite hit the market yet, but it's one that we think is going to be powerful, not only for first-time buyers, but also maybe some folks that are getting out of a house where they don't have a whole lot of equity coming out.
Yeah, that's awesome. So maybe we'll have to hop on and do another one once that.
Absolutely.
Once it actually rolls out. Very good. So I know I kind of touched on this a little bit with the seller's assist, but Ken, you've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers. How much success have you had with, KFIT over seller's assist in this market?
We always say every situation's different, right? And that matters here too. I think that if possible, if you qualify for KFIT, you definitely give yourself a more of a competitive advantage over seller assist. I actually did a recent poll in one of my real estate agent groups. What would you prefer? An offer that was an FHA VA offer, an offer that had a 3% seller assist, or an offer with a no home sale contingency? And typically the seller assist was never in first place as far as what they would prefer, but it did vary. But what I find is that, like you said earlier, Courtney, you hit the nail right on the head. The seller really wants to net as much as they can. So if there's room where you think the appraisal will come in, seller assist isn't that big of an issue. But now, again, it depends on how many offers are coming in. I have seen, don't get me wrong, like, I have closed loans in the last couple of months that had seller's assist.
Right.
But without a doubt, it's fewer and further between than it has been, in years past.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely seen some too that have got, I mean, I personally as a listing agent have had offers accepted with the seller's assist, but I also, ran comps and made sure, that I could educate my sellers on realistically what I thought that, the value was going to come back at. I'm not an appraiser, but, all I can do is use the data that I'm given. And I'm sure as a buyer's agent in this market, I mean, I personally, if I was going to put an offer like that, would definitely do the same thing and educate my buyers. And, as to if the offer I think would be a valid offer, meaning that, the financing could go through and that, it could come in at value and everything like that. So definitely make sure, when you're working with your buyer's agent that they're educating you not only on the market, but, how competitive your offer is actually going to be compared to, the other ones that could potentially come in, because inventory is very low and it's just very competitive right now.
And if you think about it, Courtney, that's one of the benefits of working with a really strong agent is that, they can think like a listing agent because they are a listing agent from time to time too,
Yeah.
and you're right, like, seller assist, depending on what other offers are out there, may be up against the home sale contingency. If, you take a look at the house that's for sale, maybe the house that's for sale is way overpriced, and you're going up against a house, a better offer with a home sale contingency that's overpriced versus, maybe an offer that's got a seller assist. You got to kind of count you got to take calculated risks, as a listing agent as well. And I think that you want to try and with your buyers, you want to try and work those calculated risks into your offer so that you can stand out, even if you think maybe this is a weakness in your offer. It may be a strength in against another offer.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so don't feel like it's hopeless out there with a seller assist. Definitely not. Just basically saying that, you have the opportunity, as long as you, meet the certain criteria, which, Ken could definitely look into for you if you want to reach out to me. But, you definitely have the opportunity to kind of sidestep some of that, making your offer less competitive right from the jump with some of these great programs that you're entitled to as a first time buyer. So the PHFA's whole mission is to get more renters to become buyers, and the biggest bridge some of the gaps to ownership. When the big part is it's so hard, especially if you're renting, to save for a down payment. It's expensive. I mean, when I bought my first home in 2014, the market was completely different. We got a full 6% seller's assist. We saw 3 houses and we were the only offer, and our offer got accepted and it was easy peasy. But, right now, there's never a bad time to buy a home. You just got to work with what you have. So that's why you rely on the professionals like myself and Ken to guide you in the right direction. So Ken, what else do you want to touch on about KFIT? Anything specific that we kind of missed here?
The one thing that you do want to keep an eye on is, your debt to income ratios are pretty fixed. There's not a whole lot of flexibility with regard to debt to income ratios. And you want to make sure you do the legwork up front when you're doing these PHFA loans. You want to work with a lender that understands them. And certainly there's plenty of great folks out there to do. Because there are some idiosyncrasies, some things that are a little bit different with this program than a normal FHA or a normal conventional or normal VA. But all in all, it's a great program. It's nothing to be afraid of, from a paperwork standpoint, from a timing standpoint. But, I think that if you have the right team, the right real estate agent, then really it can be very powerful.
I'm so extra. Sorry. I'm like, yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I do try to tell people, and Ken, chime in if you agree or disagree, but I tell people, like, if you're thinking that you want to be ready to buy a house in 6 months, you should reach out to your real estate agent today. What do you think about that? Just to see where they're at and get them ready, make sure they're ready. And, if they need some of these programs and they're, maybe they're at a 630, 640 and they need to beat at 660. What do you normally tell people? That's just my perspective.
No, it's perfect. It's absolutely true. I mean, have you ever had a real estate agent say, "Man, you reached out to me too soon"?
Yeah. Right.
No, it's usually like, hey, we saw this house we really love. And it's
Right.
like, are we ready to even make an offer? So again, having your buyer consultation with the buyer, getting pre-approved is as much about preparation as anything else. The pre-approval letter is obviously important because, a listing agent's not going to take your offer seriously without the pre-approval letter. But the pre-approval letter is just half of the reason why you want to meet with your team early in the process. One, you're going to make better decisions if you know what the road ahead is going to look like. That's number one. And number two, like you said, maybe there are some things you need to do because in this particular program, you do have to have a 660 credit score. So if you're below 660, then the program, you don't qualify, but there may be some things you can do to increase your score in the interim so that you are ready and you do qualify for the program when you're ready to actually submit an offer. I think that the biggest mistake most first-time buyers make is that they don't begin the conversation until they fall in love with a house.
Right.
And that's just inexperience, and on their part, but it's so common, and look, we'll still move mountains for everyone, right, Courtney? We're going to still try and make everything we can happen for people, but yeah, you're right. That 6 months, I think, is a perfectly acceptable time frame for when you should begin having the discussion, so you can put the pieces on the board where they need to be, so that you can, really get the house that you love and not, fall short.
Right. Especially if you're renting too, and you know that your landlord's not, maybe they're not going to let you go month to month with the end of your lease. That's something that you want to think about. Like maybe that's an 8-month out conversation then, just to make sure you're ready, because you might, especially in this market, like you're going to need a little bit more time than in a typical, more balanced market to find a home and get your offer accepted. And you want to make sure too that you're working with an agent that's going to tell you the truth about your offer. So just keep all of that in mind. It's very important as a first-time home buyer that you have people in your corner that are going to educate you and tell you the truth. And it's not always, the truth isn't always what you want to hear, but sometimes it's what you need to hear, right? So but that's all very, very important.
Absolutely.
Ken, do you have anything else that you wanted to mention right now?
I think we're good. I mean, I'm looking forward to see if anyone has any questions, post them in the comments, and we'll be happy to jump on the questions, answer them offline, and just be here for anyone who wants to begin the conversation.
Yeah, so drop a comment down below if you would like me to follow up with you, and I'd be happy to do that. I do want to say one more thing too. If you are a first-time home buyer and you want to get pre-approved, I cannot stress how important it is to work with a local lender. And the people who know those people best are your real estate agents, aka me, who work with these lenders all the time. Sorry about that, guys.
So your phone's already ringing off the hook.
Yeah, I know, right? It must be the live. It must be, yeah, the fire lead. So working with a local lender, listing agents can get a hold of them on the weekend. They're familiar with the taxes in the area. You're going to have more, accuracy when it comes to your closing costs. You can get a hold of them. You're not working with like 75 different people. It makes such a huge difference. And even as from a listing agent, meaning the people that I work with sellers also, seeing an offer that comes in with a pre-approval from a local lender, it's just, the offer has more legs to stand on to me, if that's the right expression. It just seems to me that the agent knows what they're doing because they're educating their client on using a local lender. And it makes such a huge difference. If they're in a different time zone, that makes a difference. If they're not going to answer their phone on the weekends when you put your offer in, because if I'm the listing agent, I'm calling the lender for that buyer. So that's why I work with people like Ken, who, I know are going to take great care of my clients. They're going to be picking up their phone before the listing agent can call them to talk you up. So I just want to stress how important that is. So not only, do you want to work with somebody who's an expert with first-time home buyers, but also somebody that's local, that lives nearby and is going to go to bat for you when you really need it, especially in this market. So if you have any questions about what I mean by local lender versus like an internet lender, let me know. Just drop a comment down below. I'm happy to have that conversation with you in more detail. So but yeah, once again, KFIT program, great opportunity for down payment assistance, especially in this seller's market that we're in. Definitely will help you get some assistance towards your closing costs, and for FIT means forgivable in 10 years. So, you know, that's how it works. If you have questions about how that works in a little bit more detail, or if you qualify for it, please let me know and I will reach out to you as soon as possible. I think that's it, right, Ken?
I think that's it. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Yes. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. And if you have any questions about anything else, I'm always here for you, okay? Have a great day. Bye.